If you're building your coaching business, you already know that having a strategy matters. It was probably one of the first things you thought about when you were starting your business, and you likely spent time thinking about what you should offer, how you're going to attract clients, what kind of content you should create. But if things in your business are starting to feel harder than you expected, or the results that you're seeing are inconsistent, that's usually not a sign that you need to work more, post more, or be constantly trying new ideas. More often than not, it's a sign that something in the underlying strategy needs a little tightening. There might be some simple gaps, and when those gaps exist, it can make your business feel much harder than it needs to be. It will feel like you're pushing a boulder up a hill. So in today's episode, I'm going to share 5 common strategy gaps that I see all the time that are keeping coaches stuck and getting in the way of consistent clients. So this will help you identify where one of these might be showing up in your business and start strengthening your strategy first. Welcome to the Life First Coaching Business podcast, where ambitious, purpose-led coaches trade hustle and burnout for simplicity, freedom, and clients who light them up. I'm Leonie, ex-architect and business owner turned business coach. If you're craving a business that feels spacious, joyful, and actually fun, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll be diving into the strategies, the systems, and the mindset you need to make your coaching business work for you. So let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to today's episode. As I said, I'm going to be diving into 5 common strategy gaps or strategy mistakes that can keep you stuck if you don't close up those gaps before you focus on lots of content and marketing and sales activities in your business. So first of all, let's talk about what strategy does. A strong strategy does 2 things in your business. Firstly, it gives you clarity on where to focus your time and your energy so you can use it in the best way possible. And secondly, if your strategy is done well, it means that it makes it easy for potential clients to understand exactly who you help, what you help them with, and how they can work with you. And when those 3 things are clear, client attraction becomes much more natural and easy and consistent and less overwhelming. But when the strategy underneath your business is maybe a bit fragmented or scattered, it can create a lot of effort without much momentum. And that's where I see the biggest amount of frustration for my clients and for the coaches I talk to, is that frustration of, I'm doing all the things, why isn't it clicking? So today I'm going to uncover what those most common things are, because the most common problem is that the underlying strategy isn't solid. And then it does feel like pushing a boulder uphill, but fixing a few strategic gaps often makes such a huge difference so that those actions you're taking can actually result in clients and bookings and income. So let's dive into them. The first strategy mistake I see is overcomplicating things. This is so incredibly common, especially with ambitious, capable, high-achieving women. And it's because somewhere along the way, we absorb the idea that if something's going to work, it has to be hard, it has to be complex. And in order to deserve the result that we're expecting or desiring, that the path to get there needs to be complicated. And this is usually a subconscious belief that we have. We've been brought up to be hardworking and high achieving, and therefore the idea that something is simple and easy doesn't make sense often. So overcomplicating things, I believe, often comes from those underlying beliefs. And what it results in is coaches trying to juggle lots of different things, like multiple offers, lots of different platforms, different tactics, having new ideas all the time and thinking that problems should be fixed with new ideas. I'm not immune to this. I fall into this trap a lot, and I try to be really self-aware about it, because I know that complexity rarely creates the results that you're looking for. Clarity does, simplicity does. And most successful coaching businesses are built on really simple foundations. One clear audience, one clear transformation, one clear pathway to work with you. And when your strategy is simple, it becomes much easier for people to understand what you do and say yes. And when you're repeating the same core message over and over again, and you're giving them the same invitation, that's when it starts to become sticky. That's when you become known for what you do. And that's when those people that have been watching you for a long time, building trust with you, getting to know you, will finally say yes. Whereas if you're jumping around and doing different things all the time, it never becomes sticky enough to start working. Keep it simple and give it the time it needs. That's number one. Number two, a strategy mistake I often see is not anchoring the strategy to a clear and specific outcome. And that means building a strategy without asking, what result is this actually meant to produce for me? So you might be focusing on things like audience growth or getting consistent with your content in your marketing, staying visible, growing brand awareness. Those are all important things, but they don't automatically lead to clients. And what's important is having a strategy that clearly works backwards from the outcome that you're looking to achieve. Instead of asking questions like, what should I post this week? What should I talk about this week? What events should I go to this month? Those questions should come later after asking, what needs to happen for someone to move from discovering me to becoming a client? And how can I repeat that every single week? When your strategy is connected to that pathway, it becomes much easier for you to see what you need to prioritize, what should come first in your weekly activities, and then what you should be doing around that to support it. So really getting clear on what the end result is. And you might look at that in terms of phases in your business. So you might have a 5-year vision for your business, but realistically, what do you want to happen in the next 6 months? What do you want to happen in the next 12 months? And getting really clear on the outcomes that you're looking for, and then reverse engineering your plan from there. And it's not just about revenue or client numbers. It really should be based around how you're going to make this business work for you. I believe that's really important. That's my whole ethos of creating a life first business. It's not just about, I want this much money, but it's about thinking, how many hours do I want to put to my business every week? How do I want to structure my time, structure my days? What kind of work really lights me up? What activities do I enjoy doing within my business? And how can I shape something that gives me the level of freedom, the level of fulfillment, the level of flexibility that I'm looking for? And then having a realistic plan of how you can build that in phases and what that looks like in those different phases. And that's really key, is reverse engineering with a really clear picture of what you're trying to create. Then number 3, one of the gaps I often see is that there are lots of great pieces in the strategy, but they aren't really well connected together. They're not connected strategically. So that might look like having a great offer, good content, a good lead magnet that gets opt-ins, a workshop that people love to sign up to. But when you zoom out, those elements aren't clearly leading into one another. So maybe the content is attracting one type of person, but the offer is suited to someone slightly different. Or the freebie talks about a great topic, but it's not clearly qualifying people for the offer and making sure that they are qualified leads for the offer. So examples like that, when things aren't all strategically connected together, when things feel fragmented, then you can be putting so much effort into all these different pieces, making them individually great, but not having a clear strategy of how they all connect together and linking them up so they give you that clear pathway where each piece is working for you in the right way to get you to that outcome, that result that you decided on. So making sure everything is working together and that you've got a clear plan for that at the start is really important to close that gap. Number 4, I've touched on it already, but creating a strategy that doesn't fit your life. This is especially important for the coaches I love to work with who are building life first businesses. And where they can go wrong is trying to follow strategies that are designed for people who have the ability to work extremely long hours or are happy to work extremely long hours, are happy to be constantly online, or have teams supporting them. And again, it's all about making sure your strategy works for the phase of business you're in, designing something that would work for someone who has a support team and maybe a list of thousands of people or a big audience already isn't the best way to build your business if you're in a completely different phase. So your strategy should fit the phase of business you're in, the way you want it to work around your life and your unique circumstances, and know that it can work for you, get you the results that you're looking for in this phase to move you on to the next phase so that you can get to that desired outcome, and do it in a way that doesn't require hustle to get there. Because I hear so much of this messaging of you have to hustle to create the business you want. But that's just not possible for a lot of us. If we're parenting, we're working around school hours, we're supporting our family, maybe there's health issues, lots of things can get in the way of having the ability to hustle in that way. And it is possible to create a business where you can fit the growth that you're looking for into your life. You just have to take it strategically in phases and have clarity around, okay, what am I focused on here? Then how is that getting me to the next phase? Whether that first phase is alongside a part-time job and then moving into full-time and then moving into having a team to support you. There could be different phases along the way that mean you can do it in a way that works for your life circumstances, but you have to have a really clear strategy around that. So it's important, create a strategy that works for you, not for someone else with completely different life circumstances. And then number 5, not turning strategy into clear action steps. So strategy is going to include the goals that you want to achieve. So you have a goal of however many clients, whatever amount of income, how many hours you're going to work. And then the actions that you're going to take to support those goals is really important. And getting clear on, these are the results I'm looking for, this is the action I'm going to take to get there. And linking those things up so then that you can track, okay, did those actions get me those results? Because your strategy is only going to work when it becomes something that you can actually execute. So when I talk a lot about creating a calm, repeatable system for client attraction in your business, that's what that actually is. That's looking at, okay, I've got the strategy, I've got the goals. What are the clear actions I'm planning to take? And then what are the key pieces of data I'm going to track so that I can make sure those actions are working? And if they're not, then I can tweak the actions and I can make informed decisions. I'm not just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, that you've got a clear system for refinement and you can see what's happening along that clear pathway, taking strangers to followers to warm leads to clients, for instance, and you can see what's happening along that journey. Where are things maybe breaking down? Where are things needing some fine-tuning so that pathway fully works? And when you know what actions you're planning to take and you know what to track, what's happening along that journey, it becomes clear and easy for you to make decisions about where to focus your time, what needs more work, rather than focusing on the wrong things and going off on tangents and spending months working on the wrong things and not fixing the right problems or closing up the right gaps so that, you know, your business can work like a well-oiled machine. And that's where getting clear on the actions is really important. So those 5 things are the most common ones I see. And therefore, I urge you to have a think about all 5 of those. Think about where you might be experiencing some of those things if you're feeling like your strategy isn't doing for you what you hoped. If you're currently working hard in your coaching business, but things don't feel consistent or it feels overwhelming or harder than it should, then there's a very good chance that one or more of those gaps might be the cause of that issue. And the good news is that it's fixable. It doesn't mean that you need to keep doing more. You need to simplify and strengthen the strategy underneath your business. And when that's clear, everything can start to flow and become a lot more easeful for you. If this episode has brought to your attention where there might be some issues, this is exactly what my one-to-one strategy sessions do. These are one-off succinct packages where you get to work with me one-to-one. It has 3 steps to it. A pre-questionnaire where you fill out some information about your business and I review all of that before we meet. Then we have a 90-minute session where we look at your goals, your current strategy, where there might be gaps, and we create a clear, simple plan for you moving forward so that you have confidence that you're using your time on the right things, that you're not going off on tangents and wasting your time and energy on the wrong things. And you can stop thinking about what action should I take and focus on actually taking the action. So these are hugely valuable to coaches who are maybe taking lots of action and wondering why it's not resulting in consistent clients or the bookings that they're looking for. And most coaches leave these sessions feeling a huge sense of relief because they've got that clarity on where to focus their time, and they feel excited that they have a plan to make their business work. So if that interests you, if that resonates, then I'll include the details and the link to go and check it out in the show notes. But thank you as always for being here. If you know another coach who would find this helpful, or even another business owner, because this applies across many types of business, please share it with them. And if you've got a few seconds spare, leave a rating and a review, because that really helps. So thank you so much again for being here. I'll catch you again next week. Take care.